If I could just ask all of you to take a look at your SMCE instance on your web browser and make sure that you are seeing in the bottom left corner that Python conda env colon GL4U, and that should be idle. So if someone is not seeing that, we'll have you restart. Back to idle, cool. Okay, I think we have everyone back now. Let me just do a quick head count. Okay, looks like we have everyone back. Excellent. Thank you guys for coming back promptly after breaks. Really appreciate it. Okay, before we dive in, and I promise how we are going to get to that echo command, before we continue on with the second part of the Unix intro notebook, does anyone have any questions from the part that we went over at the last session? Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're going to hop down to section 2A now, which is the next section after what we went through during the last session. So for those of you guys who aren't already down here, if you go to the table of contents, you can just click on 2A and it'll bring you right to where we are. And let's get started with the pwd command. So this is one of the commands that I went over in the lecture, so now we're actually going to be running it together. So remember that when you're working in a Unix environment, you're always going to be working in one location or a directory, and we call that your current or your working directory. And if you're unsure of what your working directory is, the pwd command, which stands for print working directory, is going to print the path to your current working directory. So the example that I used in the, one of the examples I used in the lecture when we were in the desktop and I ran pwd in the lecture material, you saw that I was in users, my username was Sarabia, and I was in the desktop. So now what I'm going to have all of you do is in this next cell here, I want you to type in that pwd command and run it. Don't forget to add the exclamation point. And then I want you to tell me where we're located within the cluster. And I'm going to set up another poll for this. So I want you guys to go ahead, type that command into that code block. And then I'm going to put up a poll for you guys to tell me where you are in our current compute environment. Okay, the poll is open. For some reason, running it without an exclamation point. So yeah, this is one of those commands where it works running it as a Python command. So if you guys want to go ahead and tell me where you're located within the cluster in that poll that just got populated and submit it. Waiting on a few more people to answer that poll question of where we're located within the cluster. Oh, thanks, Mike. So Mike pointed out that it's actually Jupyter Notebook magic that allows pwd to work without the exclamation point at the start, that it might not actually work in regular Python outside of Jupyter. Thanks for pointing that out, Mike. Yeah, a few more people to finish writing your answers. Let me know where we are in the cluster. Okay. And it looks like everyone's done. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. And I'm going to view the poll before I type in the answer. Yeah, some people said home, some people said home Joybion, which is actually where we all are. So oops, that's exactly right. So if you go in here and type in that pwd command, and then again, you can either hold shift and then press enter, or you can press the play button up here. And so if I go ahead and do that, you'll see that, and I did it without the exclamation point, which is not a good habit to get into. So I'm going to rerun it with the exclamation point. You'll see the output as it would be run in Unix. And we are in a top-level directory here called home, but we're in a subdirectory of home called Jovian. And so we're all in this Jovian directory is where we're currently located. And so let's now take a look at what is in the current directory where we're located. So in this next code block here, we're going to run another command that I went through in the lecture called ls. And again, ls is a command that lists all files in the current working directory. And so I want you guys to try running ls in the next cell to list all the files in your current or your home directory. And again, don't forget to add that exclamation point before the command. And then I have a question here asking if you guys noticed any familiar files. So I'll give you guys all some time to run that. I think I might have that question listed as a poll. No, I don't. Yeah, I do. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and open the poll. So once you guys go ahead and write ls to see what's in there, let me know if you notice any files that look familiar from what we've gone over previously in the boot camp. Yeah, this one's one of those Jupyter Magic commands too. It'll also work without an exclamation point. Don't get used to that though, it doesn't always work. Let a couple more folks finish answering. And a couple more, I need to answer that poll question. So go ahead and run ls. Don't forget to put your exclamation point in front of it, and then let me know if you see any similar files. It's true. So Mike just made a comment that the little things that Jupyter conveniently does for us can inevitably make trying to explain how it works harder, because sometimes it does these nice little workarounds for us behind the scenes, but it's not true for all the commands that we run. So okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. It looks like you guys have all answered. I'm going to pull up your answers on my end before. Yeah, so a couple answers here. We have RNAseq, example.txt, Unix intro, yes, the example.txt file, as well as some of the other directories you guys saw in there. Yes, Unix intro, Jupyter Notebook. See where the example.txt file came from. This is a good one. They're the same files in the folder on the left-hand navigation bar. A couple of you guys noted that. Example.txt in the Jupyter Notebooks, yeah. Right, so let's go ahead and run this ls command with you guys now. And press enter, and you'll notice that all of these files are actually all the files that are listed here, the files in directory that are listed on the left-hand side of your window here. And it's because over here on the left-hand side, we're actually in the same location that's being brought up over here. This is actually where we pulled this Unix intro notebook from. And so that's where all those files are currently located on the system in your home Jovian folder. So that includes, as many of you pointed out, that example.txt file that we've been playing around and looking at. Okay, so moving on here, you should have noticed the example.txt file we used when working with the head command above. We're also going to be using the saturn.txt file that you see in your home directory in this tutorial, and we're going to be using the example CSV file when Lauren walks you guys through the R Intro Jupyter Notebook later in the boot camp, actually tomorrow. So now we want to run that ls command in the next cell so that the files are listed in a single column. You'll note here that the files are listed in two different columns. And so I want you to run an ls command, but add the option that you need so that the files are listed in a single column. So if you want to know what that option is, you can use the ls help command, or I gave you a hint actually for what that option is to make things a little easier. And again, don't forget to put that exclamation point in front. And I'm going to go ahead and set up a poll with this question. So once you guys figure out what that command looks like, I'm going to have you submit it in the poll that I'll bring up. Let's see if I have that one. Actually, I don't think I have that as a poll question. Let me write it. So I am going to bring that up as a poll question. Okay, I've opened up a poll now, so once you guys figure out the right answer for what that command should look like, go ahead and submit it in the poll. Waiting on a few more of you to finish putting your command into the poll prompt and submitting it. Go ahead and submit your answers when you're ready. Okay, yeah, one more needs to submit. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close the poll. Okay, yeah. We got several right answers, a couple of different answers. So let's go over it together. So for this one here, I gave you the hint that the -1 option will only allow one file to be printed per line. So that kind of gives you a big hint right there. I know that we're used to providing something after the option, so we don't actually need it for this one. So for this one, we could just do exclamation point ls. So ls will automatically assume to list everything in the current directory. You can actually tell it, give it a path, and it'll list everything in the location and the path that you provide. But when you don't give it a path and you just give it ls, as we have here, it'll list everything in your current directory, which we know from our pwd command is our home Jovian directory. And we also know from running just ls and seeing what's in there that this actually matches what's here. So now to list all the files in our current working directory in single file command, all that we have to, or in single file, all that we have to do is add a -1 to the ls command, and we actually don't have to give it anything else. You can go ahead and run that. And what you'll see is that the files in our home directory are now listed in single file. And so before I go over this, especially for those of you who might not have gotten this command off the bat, this next question here, which I'll bring up as a poll, is if the hint above wasn't provided, what command or ls options could you have run to know what the available options or flags are for the ls command? And you can type those in the next few code blocks, give yourself a few tries, and I'm going to pull this up as a poll. And once you guys are confident with what you need to run in order to view the help message for the ls command, you can go ahead and submit it in the poll that was just opened. I want you guys to tell me what the command looks like if we wanted to pull up the help menu for LS. Don't forget to add that exclamation point at the start of your command. You guys a few more seconds to answer this. It looks like I got about 3 of you that still need to submit your commands that you're running. Excellent. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and close the poll. And let me take a look. And we got split here. Yeah, so it looks like a lot of you guys got this. Some of you forgot to run LS at the start. So whenever you want to pull up the help command or the help menu of a particular command, you want to run the command first, followed by that -- help or -H. So we would want to run the command that we need the help menu for first. So in our case, we're looking for the help menu for the LS command. And so we want to start first by running the LS command. And then we want to add the option. I always start with -- help. Again, depending on how the program was written, sometimes -- help will work. Sometimes just that command followed by -H. And then again, this isn't set up here, but on your own computers, if you were to do man ls, that would also work. But that doesn't work here, unfortunately. So to start off with, what I normally do is, again, we want the help menu for the LS command. So we're going to start first by typing that LS command. Again, the exclamation point telling the Jupyter Notebook that this is a Unix command that we're running, not a Python command. And then the -- help flag. And so when you go ahead and run that, what you see is something similar to what we saw with the previous help menu that we pulled up for head, except this time this is going to be the help menu for LS. And so you'll see here the usage, so it tells you to run LS. You'll need to run LS first, and then, well, I think I lied to you guys too, these are actually both optional. If you don't put any file or any options, it'll just run LS on whatever folder you're in, as I mentioned previously. Just like head, it's default, it's standard input. And so here all we actually need is the LS command, but we have options that we can add if we want to. We can also indicate a particular directory location or a particular file. And question in chat, what happens when you write ls-n-1? We'll write that and see. So looking at this LS help menu, again, there are a variety of different options here. So of course it can take some time to kind of read through all of these to figure out which one you want to list things in a single column. I'm really used to this command, and as you get comfortable with commands, you tend to just by nature remember some of the more useful options. And so if you were to scroll all the way down to the end of that help menu, you will see this -1 option. And so this -1 option, and then it's described here on the right. And so if you add this -1 option, it'll say that it'll list 1 file per line, which is what we want to do, is listing it in a single file. And it just also gives you some notes here, so it doesn't want to see a \n. That's actually used to indicate a blank line. And then there's some other things that it says you can't use it with the -q or the -b option. So you might need to see some notes like that. But yeah, if you wanted to know any of the options here, this is how you would find it. Is again, you want to write the command that you want to see the help menu for, and then a space, and then -- help to pull up that help menu. And then question in the chat here is asking about the -n option. And so let's see, -n in LS says that it's like -l, but it lists numeric user and group IDs. So the -l command is a long listing format. So we can see what that looks like, and -n is just going to be a variation of this long listing format. And then when you add the -1, that's still going to list it as 1 file per line. So we can run that command and see what it looks like. So we could just add another code block, or if you guys still have some code blocks available, we can use it here. Question of what happens when you run ls-n, which is a longer way to write out the files. It actually gives you some more information, and then -1. And so if I go ahead and run that, what I see now are, I see all my files listed here, and I see them listed in single column, single file. That's from that -1 command. Now all this extra stuff that you see here associated with each of the files is because of this -n option that was added to the ls command. And then again, just going back to the help menu, that -n option is a numeric UID guide, which is like -l but lists numeric user and group IDs. And then if you didn't know what that -l is, you can read it up here, and that uses a long listing format. And so what this is actually telling us here is this more information about the file. And so probably more details than you guys need at this moment, but every file on every system has a set of permissions. There is a set of permissions for the user, the person logged in using the system. There are a set of permissions for the group, so you can put multiple users in a particular group. And then there's a set of permissions for just anyone that's logged into the system. And so for this current system, this first set of permissions here, as you see, is a -rwx. That dash just means that this is a file and not a directory. An R stands for read permissions, which means you can view that file. A W stands for write permissions. That means that you can edit that file. And an X is executable permissions, which means that you can execute a command on that file, or that that file is executable and you can run it. So this first set of permissions here is going to be for the user. And there's a user ID associated with this file. So you see this set of numbers here? That's the difference between the -n and the -l that it was referring to. So this is giving you the user in numeric format, and it is giving you the group in numeric format. And so that's what those numbers are. And so these are all the permissions for the user for this file. This next set of permissions that you see here is r-x. So r meaning that anyone in the group can read this file. That dash here means that there's no write permissions. So anyone in this group cannot write or edit that file. And then there's this -x here, which is executable, which means anyone in this group can execute that file. And then you see the same set of permissions, r-x, in this last location here. And this location is for any user on the system. So any user on the system can read or execute this file, but cannot write or edit it. Again, more information than you guys probably really need to know now, but all sets of files on all compute systems have various levels of permission, again, for the user, the group that that user belongs to, and then for anyone on the system. So that's what you're seeing here with some of these additional options. This is telling you the file size, so just some more information about the file, and then obviously this one is telling you the date and time that that file was created. And so just to show you the difference, because the options told us that -n was very similar to -l, so let's change that -n to -l, and we can run it again. And we should see something very similar, which we do, except this time, instead of numbers indicating the user in the group, we have the actual name of the user in the group. So we're all actually the same users. We're all this Joyvian user, and we're all in a group called users. So I know it's confusing. This is the user, and this is the group. But that's information that you get with this -l command, or -l option of the ls command. Any other questions about the ls command, or about the syntax of writing this, how to find what options mean for a command? Okay, everyone's okay with this? We're going to move on to the make directory command next. Okay, great. And guys, feel free, play around. If you don't know what these options are, you're going to have access to this system for at least the next 2 weeks, and we'll talk more about additional access towards the end of the boot camp. But by all means, go ahead, play through these, run through them again, rerun your commands, play with the different options, see what they do. Just start getting comfortable running these commands in these Jupyter notebooks. The more you play around with it, the more comfortable you'll get. Okay, so we'll move on to the next section, which is the mkdir command. So this is another command that we did in the lecture material. And so the make dir command creates a new folder or directory, and actually stands for make directory. And the new directory is created in your current directory unless you specify a specific path to make the directory in. So as an example, similar to what I had put in the lecture, if you run make dir my folder, it will create a folder called my folder in your current directory. If you were to run a command, the make dir command, but this time give it an explicit path, now it's going to make this last folder here my folder in your desktop, within the desktop folder. So in the next cell, I want you to try creating a new directory called solar system in your current directory, which we now know is your home directory on the SMCE system. And then after you create your new directory called solar system, I want you to run ls to see if that directory is now listed in your current working directory. So first, I want you to run a command to make a directory called solar system, all one word. And then I want you to run ls to see if you successfully made that directory. And I'm going to pull this up again as a poll question so you guys can tell me what your command looks like in the poll. Okay, I just opened the poll. So once you guys have that command to make the directory called solar system in your current directory, you can go ahead and copy and paste it. Waiting on a few more of you to go ahead and put that command in the poll. If there's a few more of you that need to submit your command, go ahead and make sure you submit your command in that poll that popped up. Don't forget to press submit after you've typed in your command. You have a few more seconds. It looks like just one more of you have to submit. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. It looks like I think I have one person still needs to hit submit, so go ahead and do that. Got about 10 more seconds. Okay. A couple of people got the right answer. I think a couple people were listing things in their directory. Some people made directory my folder. And then a couple of people were unsure of how to answer. So in order to make a directory similar to what I had put in the lecture material is you run mkdir, which is the command that we want to run, but remember, because we're in a Python environment and we're running a Unix command, we need to add that exclamation point at the start of the command to tell Jupyter that this is actually a Unix command that we're running. And then we want to make the directory name. So if you guys remember from the lecture material, when we ran make dir, so if you remember that we took a look, make this bigger. We took a look at the manual page for make dir, and if you remember, the only thing required was the make dir command followed by the directory name, so the name of the directory that we want to create. So in the example I did in the lecture, I called it make dir my directory, but here I wanted you guys to make a directory called solar system. So rather than writing my directory like you saw in the lecture, you just run make dir, and then you can just copy and paste solar system. And if you guys didn't get this right initially, make sure that you do this so that we all have that solar system directory in our folder. So this is as simple as the command is. So it's just mkdir followed by the name of the directory that you want to make, and then you just go ahead and enter. And then to make sure that you did indeed create that solar system directory, a couple things that you can do. One is it should actually populate here, because remember when we did our pwd command and we listed files, we noticed that all the files listed when we run the ls command here were the files that were in our home directory here. So this is showing the same location. So if we run make directory, we're creating a new directory in our current location, which is the same as the location being shown here on the left. And so indeed we see that solar system directory is now populated on the left. The other way we can look is here on the command line, and we can just run our ls command to see the files that are in here. And sure enough, we see the solar system directory is now there in our home directory. Does everyone now have a directory called solar system in their home directory? Is there anyone who's not seeing solar system, a folder called solar system in their home directory, either here on the left or when you run the ls command? Any questions? I know only about half of you got this one. So are there any questions? Anything that you want me to go over again? Okay. So if we're good to move on, we're going to start playing around within the solar system directory and kind of move files and stuff in and out of it. So it seems like since none of you guys mentioned anything, that everyone now has a solar system directory in their home directory that they can clearly see. And when you guys run ls, you're seeing it listed here too. And if anyone's not seeing that, please let me know in the chat. Okay, let's move on to our cd command. So this is another command that I went over in the lecture. So then we go, in addition to creating new folders using the command line, you can also navigate to different directories on the command line using that cd command, which stands for change directory. So from your current or your working directory, you can move into any of the folders within your working directory, so any of these 3 folders. in our system right now by running the CD command followed by the name of the folder, right? So if you want to go into EFS, you do CD space EFS, the name of the folder. If you want to go into lost plus found, it's not good practice to put a plus sign in folders. This was actually created by the system admins for this system. But if you wanted to go in that folder, it would be CD space lost plus found, and you'd be able to go into that folder. So what I want you to do is use the next cell to navigate into the solar system folder that you just made in the previous command. And I do have a note here that for the CD command, this works a little differently. To run the CD command within a Python kernel Jupyter Notebook, you have to add a % before the CD command instead of an exclamation point. And if you're interested in the difference between exclamation point and % and why that is, kind of out of scope to go through it with you here, but for those of you that are curious, I do have a link here in this Jupyter Notebook that gets into a little bit about the background behind the exclamation point versus the % symbol to run Unix commands in a Python Jupyter Notebook. And then I also, as you guys think about that, and I will put up a poll question for it, so if you want to navigate to a directory outside of your current directory, you can do that as well, just like I mentioned in the lecture, except you would have to use the full path to that directory, not just the name. So for example, if your current working directory is your desktop, but you want to go to your documents directory that is not in your desktop, you would have to write the explicit path to your documents directory, just as an example. So in this next code block here, I want you to type in the command to navigate into or change directory into the solar system folder that you just made in the previous command that you ran. So I'm going to set up a poll again and give you guys a few seconds to think about what that command looks like. Okay, and I just opened the poll. So once you guys are confident with your command to move into that solar system directory, go ahead and copy and paste that command in the poll. A couple more of you. Go ahead and copy and paste that command to change directory into your solar system folder, and then hit submit. And one more of you needs to submit your command. A few more seconds. Make sure you're pressing submit once you copy and paste your command. Great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Got quite a few answers. I think just about all of you are right. Looks like one of you forgot to put that % symbol at the front. So yeah, this one here, like I said, for the CD command, it requires you to do a % symbol to run it in a Jupyter Notebook. as opposed to the exclamation mark. And so it's percent CD, which is the name of the command that we're running. And then I like to copy and paste so you don't risk a typo. And then you want to CD into your solar system directory, and then you can either press Shift Enter or the play button up top to run that command. And it should allow you to navigate into your solar system directory that you just made. And so although when we're using the Jupyter Notebook, this is another nice nifty thing about Jupyter is when you CD into a location, it automatically prints out the location that you CD'd into, that you changed into. That's not the case when you're just on the regular terminal. So I always just to make sure that I am indeed in the directory that I wanted to be in. Does anyone remember what command we would run to see what directory we're in to make sure that we're indeed in the solar system directory? You can go ahead and type it in the chat. Yeah, that's exactly right. So pwd, but of course, since we're running this Unix command in the Python Jupyter Notebook, we want to do an exclamation point first, and then pwd, and we can go ahead and run that, and sure enough, we are indeed now in our solar system directory that we had made previously. So now I want you guys to play around a little bit with this CD command. I want you to use the next two code blocks to navigate back to your home directory and then to your solar system directory again. But this time, when you navigate to your home directory and then back to your solar system directory, I want you to use the full path to navigate to those directories. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time. I'm going to set up a poll question, and I want you to copy and paste two commands in this poll. The first command would be how you would change directories back to your home directory using the full path, and then how you would go from your home directory back to the solar system directory that we're currently in, again, using the full path. So two commands I want you guys to put in this poll prompt that I'm going to bring up for you guys. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the poll. So again, I'm looking for two commands here. The first command is to CD to your home directory using the full path to your home directory. And then the next command is to CD back into your solar system directory, again using the full path. Go ahead and test some things out in these code blocks. Add more code blocks if you need to once you're satisfied with what the command looks like to move into your home directory and then back into your solar system directory with the full path. Go ahead and submit it into the poll prompt. Waiting on a few more of you to submit your answers. Give you guys another minute. Still missing a couple of responses. So go ahead and once you're comfortable, or if you don't know, you could just put that you don't know, and we'll go over it. just as a reminder, looking for the two commands, one to navigate to your home directory, and then the next to navigate to your solar system directory, both using the full path to your home directory and the full path to your solar system directory. We have a few more seconds. Those of you still working on it? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Here, sorry about that. Yeah, it looks like quite a bit of you got it. Some people went to different places. Okay, we'll go over this together. Okay, so what we want to do again is similar to what we had done previously, is we want to use the CD command. And so as I pointed out, the CD command is a little different than the other Unix commands that we've been running in this Jupyter notebook, and that it needs the % symbol in front of it. So we're going to do %cd. Again, cd is the command to change directory, which is what we're doing here. And so we want to change directory to our home directory. So if you guys remember from up above, all the way towards the top of the Jupyter Notebook section, one of the first things we did after ran the head command is we ran this pwd command to learn where we are when we first log on. And when we first log on, we're in our home directory. And so we know from this pwd command that we ran at the beginning here that our home directory is /home/Jovian. And so I'm just going to copy and paste that, and that's the full path to our home directory. So I just went ahead and copy and pasted it, and then I'll come back down here to this code block I've been working on. And so I want to run the %cd, so the change directory command. And I want to cd to my home directory, which I know the full path to is /home/Jovian. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. And then, like I said, thanks to the magic of Jupyter Notebook, this does tell you where you are once you do the cd. But just to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and add another code block under here and run that pwd command to make sure that I am indeed in my home directory. And so, as expected, I am in the path, the full path to my home directory. And so now that you saw what it is for the full path to your home directory, does anyone want to take a shot, and you could put your answer in the chat for those of you that want to change your answer? What would be the command now using the full path to change directory into the solar system directory or solar system folder? What would that command look like with the full path? Yeah, where's it? Yeah, and that's right. So a couple of things. Ty, you're absolutely right. Mark and Susie, you got to be very careful with syntax. And so commands are very sensitive to caps. And so if we try to do something like what you guys bravely volunteered is cd home /Jovian and then solar system without the proper caps of what the directory is named. Oh, Susie, you named your folder with the lowercase. Gotcha. So if you were to do that, unless, of course, you made your directory with all lowercase and run it, you're going to get an error. So it's going to tell you that there's no such file or directory with that name. And it's because the solar system folder that I created, okay, Mark, you too, the solar system folder, if you guys followed along with what's in the notebook, of course, if you wrote it with lowercase, then that's absolutely true. But if you wrote it how I had wrote it in the notebook, these both have capital S's. So it's capital S for solar, capital S for system. And so if you don't make it be the same caps as the folder name exactly, it won't know to find it. And so you want to make sure that you have it exactly as it's displayed on the folder name. And so now if I run that, I should have now successfully navigated back into my solar system folder using the cd command with that full path. And just to double check, you can add another code block and run that pwd command. And I am indeed back in my solar system directory. So I guess I kind of answered these next couple questions here. Use an Excel to see what your working directory is now. I just did that up here, so I won't ask you guys to do that, but you of course can type it in if you have not done so already. And then you can see that we are indeed in the solar system folder. Now that we're in the solar system folder, I'll just go ahead and put this here so we have it. Now that we know that we're in the solar system folder, let's take a look at what's in it. So I want you to use this next code block here to list the files in your solar system folder and tell me what's in there. So I am going to put another poll question up. I want you to put the command you used to view what's inside your solar system directory. So this is the directory that we're currently in. And then I want you to tell me what's in there once you do run that command. So I'm going to go ahead and set up that poll for you guys. Okay, the poll should be open. So please go ahead, write the command that you use to view the files in your solar system directory, and then tell me what you found in there. Make sure that you guys are copy and pasting the commands that you're using to view what's in your solar system folder, and then let me know what you found, what's inside your solar system folder. And don't forget to submit your responses. And I'm going to wait till everyone's submitted a response. Still a few more of you needing to submit your responses. Go ahead and do that. Give you guys a little bit more time. Don't forget to hit submit when you're done typing in your response. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys about 10 more seconds. For those of you who aren't, you should probably see a countdown come up. And about 20 more seconds. Submit your responses. Okay. And so looks like we got quite a few right answers. I got something must be wrong, nothing's happening. Yeah, a lot of you guys got the right command, and notice that absolutely nothing is in here. So the command should look like this. So because we are already in our solar system folder, we only have to run !ls, and ls assumes if you don't provide it a path that you want to list everything that's in your current directory. So since our current directory is indeed the solar system folder that we made, we can go ahead and just run ls without anything else. And what you'll notice is nothing comes up. Why is that? Well, we all just made that folder together and we haven't put anything in there, so nothing's in there. So that's right, there shouldn't be anything in there. And just another way that you guys could have written this ls command, let's say we were somewhere else on the system and we wanted to list what was in our solar system folder, you can do the same thing by providing the full path. And I think Jupyter's good about this. Actually, this might work on the Unix command too, but always I end when I want to look inside a folder with a / just to make sure that Unix knows that I want to see what's inside that solar system folder. I don't just want it to list the folder name. And so this is another thing that you can run. And of course, nothing's going to happen because it's empty. There's nothing in there. Okay, let's now move on to the cp command and actually put some stuff in that solar system folder. So we're going to copy some files into our solar system folder using the cp command. So the cp command, I don't believe I have gone over the lecture yet. The cp command stands for copy. And so to run this command, you're first going to provide cp with the location and name of the existing file that you want to copy, followed by the location to where you want to copy the file to. So for example, if you want to copy the file called saturn.txt from your home directory, right, that was one of the things listed in our home directory, to your solar system folder, the command would look like this. So it would be cp, the name of the file with the full path to the file, if it's not in your working directory. So cp, this file, saturn.txt, which is in home in Jovian directory, and I want to move that to my home Jovian solar system directory. So again, cp, a space, the location and name of the file that you want to copy, followed by a space, and then the location, so a directory to where, full path to the directory where you want to copy that file to. A couple of other things I'm going to bring into play now, just because I use these shortcuts a lot. So there are actually several built-in shortcuts in Unix to navigate throughout your directory structure. I've listed some of these shortcuts here below so that you guys can start using them in this tutorial and as we move on in the bootcamp. So a tilde here is going to be your shortcut for your home directory. So any system you're on, if you cd space tilde, it'll go to that system's home directory folder for you. Just a dot is a shortcut for your current or your working directory. So if you want to list anything in your current directory, you could just do ls space dot, and that's the same thing as doing a full path to your current directory or just an ls, which is your current directory. Two dots is a shortcut to indicate the directory above your current directory. So if we are in the solar system directory, the directory above our solar system directory is going to be our home directory. So you could get there just by doing dot dot. So we're going to use a shortcut together to copy that saturn.txt file from our home directory to our solar system folder, and then I'm going to have you play around with this copy command and some of these shortcuts. So in this code block here, which is already written out for you, so here we're going to use that copy command, and this, like most of the other Unix commands, when we're running it in this Python kernel Jupyter notebook, we have to add that exclamation point at the start. So exclamation point CP for my copy command. And then we're going to have a space. And then I have this dot dot here to, again, which is a shortcut to go one directory above our current directory. And if you remember from the previous code block where we ran pwd, our current directory is actually inside that solar system folder. So we're currently inside the solar system folder. So when I add this dot dot here, I'm telling it to go one directory above our current directory. So if we're in our solar system folder, dot dot would say, go to the directory just above it. So go to this Jovian folder. And in that Jovian folder, you should see this file called Saturn.txt. And so I'm telling it, go up one folder, copy the file in the folder above the one I'm at called Saturn.txt, and I want you to copy it to my current directory using the shortcut for your current directory, which is just a 1 period. And our current directory is the solar system directory. So we're going to go ahead and run this code block together. So again, either press play or shift enter on your keyboard. Oh, and I should mention, if you notice in the brackets here next to your code blocks, you'll see that they're empty before you run anything. And then while the command is running, you'll see a star or an asterisk there. And then when the command is done running, it'll populate with a number. So that's how you know that it's done running when there's no output. So you notice this command gives no output. And so I know that it's done because this block here populated with a number. Is there anyone that was unable to run this code block? Or is there anyone who's still running the code block? Go ahead and put a message in the chat if that's the case. Okay, so we're going to use this next code block here to list all files in our current directory, which is still going to be our solar system folder, to see if our Saturn.txt file is there. So I'm not going to do a poll for this one, but if you guys want to just put in the chat what command you would run to list all the files in your current directory, you can go ahead and just put that in the chat. Yeah, awesome. Already using the shortcuts. Yeah. So we could do this a few different ways. We'll use, timer, I gave the same one. So !ls, and then to look at our current directory, we can use the shortcut of just a dot. And so I'll go ahead and do that one. Press enter. And now we see something in our folder. We see that Saturn.txt file, which means that we did successfully copy it to our current directory. So I want you guys to play around with this copy command and some of these shortcuts here. And I have here, what are some other ways you could have written the CP command to copy the Saturn.txt file from your home directory to your solar system folder? And so I'm going to go ahead and start a poll for this question and have you guys respond to the poll. So think about some other ways that we could have ran this copy command to do the same thing. Okay, I just opened the poll, so there's a lot of right answers here. So go ahead and think about another way besides the one that we just ran that you could have run to copy that Saturn.txt file from your home directory to your solar system directory. And I'll give you guys about a minute or two to answer this. Again, there's a lot of different answers. There's a lot of different ways we could have copied that file. I'm sure you're filling in that poll question. Once you guys have your commands for how to copy that Saturn.txt file from your home directory to the solar system directory, make sure you put it in your poll and press submit. Still waiting on about 8 of you to answer the question. So a few more of you guys, go ahead and submit your answers for different ways to have copied that Saturn.txt file. Give another few seconds, guys, to answer. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Okay. Yeah, so I see a lot of people use full paths. Cool. Some of you guys couldn't think up other ways, that's fine. Okay. Ty, I like what you went with. You're pretty close there. I'm gonna use that one. Okay. So one of the ones that we got responses looked like this. So this is actually super close, just one minor change that we would need to make to this. So this tilde represents your home directory. So before I actually run that command, let's go ahead and, so if I were to do the pwd command, which is print home directory, let's use the echo command. So if I use the echo command, which is going to print whatever I tell it to print. So I'm going to use this echo command. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I hope so. I'm going to add an exclamation point to make sure they know it's Unix. And then I'm going to do this tilde, which again is our shortcut for our home directory. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. Cool. And so again, this echo command, as I talked about in the lecture, we're going to talk about it more in this notebook, but it's going to be tomorrow since we only got about 2 minutes left for today. We'll just print out whatever you tell it to. So whatever comes after the space here, it's going to print it out. And I gave it a tilde. And Unix knows, embedded within Unix, it's defined as the shortcut. This tilde is defined as a shortcut for your home directory. Yeah, exactly. So when you notice, when I ran this command here, this is what it prints out. And so if you want to point to that saturn.txt file in your home directory, you can use the tilde. But if you were to use the tilde and not put anything after it, what it's going to look like, I don't even know if this will work, but let's see. Okay, so it didn't work because it didn't recognize that was a home directory. And the reason is because, write this one more time. It doesn't have a directory at the end of it, a note for a directory, which is a /. So if we wanted to indicate a file within our home directory, we would need tilde / saturn.txt. And then the dot is our current location. So this would be to copy home directory, the saturn.txt file within the home directory to our current location, which was our solar system folder. So that one works just fine. And then one that a lot of you guys wrote, some of you guys forgot your exclamation point, but other than that, it was looking pretty good. The other one that you could have written, I'll put it down here, is this command too. So cp home jovian saturn.txt. So again, explicit path to saturn.txt, and then the location where you want to copy that file to, which is our home directory or our solar system directory. Again, I like to end with a /, although that probably still would have worked without it. But I do like to end with that / just to indicate to put it in the directory. And so a couple other ways you could have wrote this. You could have used any combination of these shortcuts. So we could have done the tilde sign that was used, the dot, any combination of these. So it could have been the explicit path followed by a dot here. It could have been the tilde saturn.txt in this location, followed by the explicit path to your solar system. So any of those would have worked just fine. So we are officially at 3 o'clock. So we're going to sign off. We will finish the rest of this notebook first thing tomorrow. So if you guys want to save the location you're at, which I highly recommend all of you do right now, is go ahead and hit this little save icon here at the top upper left corner of your Jupyter notebook, and it will save where you are currently at. It actually saves along the way as you go. Every I think 30 seconds or minute, it'll save it automatically, but just in case, I always like to press that little save button. If you guys want to export what we've done so far, again, you don't have to because we should save it and be able to pick right up where we left off. If you go to this file icon here at the top left corner, and you could scroll down to save and export notebook as, and you can export your notebook with everything completed up until this point as an HTML file, and it will prompt you to save this to a location on your local system, and you can save that. And then when you open it up in that system, it will look like this, and you'll see all of the outputs and all the commands that you ran, all nice and saved in an HTML file. So that's if you want to copy it locally. Again, as long as you guys press the save button, we'll be able to pick up right where we left off. That said, I know we're 2 minutes over. Is there any last minute questions? If not, we are going to pick up tomorrow right where we left off here and continue finishing this notebook starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow.